You're doing absolutely everything right. You're dialed in, you're eating organic, you're avoiding processed foods, you're thinking about every supplement you put in your body. You exercise 5 times a week, you're sleeping 8 hours, you manage your stress better than most people I talk to, and yet you still don't feel right. Maybe your energy isn't where it should be. Maybe your digestion feels off despite a clean diet. Maybe there's brain fog that shouldn't exist on this regimen. You're doing the work. The system just isn't cooperating. Here's what I've learned after testing over 1,000 people. When someone's doing everything right and still getting worse, it's rarely about what they're adding. It's about what they don't know they're being exposed to. And this week, researchers at Cambridge University just published the proof. They found 168 everyday chemicals you're in contact with multiple times a day that are actively, measurably disrupting the growth of your beneficial gut bacteria. Not tomorrow, right now. This video is about understanding exactly what those chemicals are, where they're hiding, and why the system has zero incentive to tell you about it. Let's go. The research is straightforward. University of Cambridge researchers ran tests on hundreds of common household and industrial chemicals. They exposed those chemicals to beneficial gut bacteria, the ones you actually need for metabolism, immune function, mental health, everything, and measured what happened. The result? 168 of those chemicals caused measurable disruption to bacterial growth. Not hypothetical disruption, measurable, reproducible, quantified. Some of them also amplified antibiotic resistance in bacteria, meaning they made the bacteria harder to treat if they actually became pathogenic or disease-causing. Now here's the thing that matters for you. These aren't industrial chemicals you'd encounter if you worked at a petrochemical plant. These are chemicals you're exposed to almost every single day without knowing it. Think about your morning. You drink your coffee from a plastic-lined cup. That cup contains bisphenol A, BPA, a plasticizer. You take a shower using tap water that's been treated with various compounds. You apply your toothpaste, parabens, and triclosan, both on the list. You use your hand sanitizer at your desk, triclosan again. You eat lunch out of a container that's been sitting in a plastic bag, phthalates from food packaging. You wear clothes that have been treated with flame retardants. Your office has new carpet, also treated with chemicals. Your body is being exposed to compounds designed by industry to solve specific problems. Keep plastics flexible, prevent bacterial growth in personal care products, make fabrics fire resistant, extend the shelf life of food. Nobody designed those chemicals to be bad for your gut, but that's what's happening. You're optimizing the inputs, but you're surrounded by invisible outputs that you never agreed to and don't know how to measure. Let me be more specific about what the Cambridge researchers found. There are 5 major categories of chemicals destroying your microbiome. Bisphenols, BPA, BPF, BPS. These are plasticizers. They're designed to make plastic flexible and durable. They're in water bottles, food storage containers, the lining of cans, coffee cups, even some receipts, because they make the paper reactive to heat. Phthalates are in the same family. They're plasticizers used in food packaging, toys, flooring, cosmetics. If it's soft plastic or flexible, it probably has phthalates. The Cambridge study found that these chemicals disrupt bacterial growth directly. They interfere with how bacteria metabolize and reproduce. What this means, every time you drink from a plastic water bottle, especially if you leave it in the sun or you use hot water, you're releasing those chemicals into your system. They're crossing your intestinal barrier and creating an environment where beneficial bacteria cannot thrive. High-performing professionals think, I'm drinking water, that's healthy. But the water bottle itself is working against the benefit. These are preservatives. Their job is to prevent bacterial and fungal growth in personal care products so they stay shelf stable. Parabens are in almost every mainstream cosmetic product. Shampoo, conditioner, moisturizer, makeup, sunscreen, they're ubiquitous. Triclosan was an antibacterial hand soap for decades. The FDA banned it from hand soap in 2016, but it's still in toothpaste, mouthwash, deodorant, and some cosmetics. Here's the irony. These chemicals were designed to kill bacteria. So when you ingest them or absorb them through your skin, they do exactly what they're designed to do. They kill bacteria. They don't discriminate between pathogenic bacteria and beneficial bacteria. You're using a product to prevent cavities or to keep your underarms dry, and it's simultaneously killing the gut bacteria that regulate your immune function and your metabolic health. This is the system working exactly as it's designed, just not as designed for you. Both bisphenols and phthalates, there are compounds used to make packaging water resistant, grease resistant, and durable. These are called forever chemicals, PFAS, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. They're designed not to break down. That's the feature. That's also the problem. When you eat takeout in a paper container coated with these chemicals, or microwaved food in plastic wrap, or frozen food in packaging treated with PFAS, those chemicals leach into your food. They then pass through your intestinal barrier. The Cambridge study found that these compounds actively disrupt microbial growth. Unlike other chemicals that at least biodegrade eventually, these stay in your system. They accumulate. Even if you're buying conventional produce grown with standard pesticide protocols, you're ingesting residues of glyphosate, neonicotinoids, organophosphates, and dozens of other compounds designed to kill insects and weeds. The chemistry is simple. These pesticides disrupt the nervous system of insects. They do this by interfering with acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter. Insects die because their neurotransmitter system breaks down. Your gut bacteria have nervous systems, not sophisticated ones like yours, but functional ones. They use some of the same neurotransmitter pathways. When you ingest these chemicals, they don't distinguish between insect neurons and bacterial cells. The mechanism that kills the pest can disrupt bacterial function. The Cambridge researchers tested over 100 pesticide compounds and found that many of them disrupted bacterial growth directly. If you're eating conventional produce and thinking it's just traces, it doesn't matter, mathematically, you're ingesting pesticide residues multiple times a day across multiple food categories. It compounds. This is the category that most health-conscious people completely miss because it's not food. Flame retardants in carpet, upholstery, and textiles. Volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, from new furniture and office equipment. Formaldehyde in particle board and plywood. Dust from deteriorating insulation. These aren't chemicals you ingest directly. You inhale them or absorb them through your skin, but they still enter the bloodstream. They cross your intestinal barrier and they interact with your microbiota. When you sit in a modern office chair, you're breathing off-gassing from the polyurethane foam and fire retardant chemicals. When you walk on carpet, you're breathing in what's embedded there. You think you're at work being productive. Your microbiota is getting assaulted by compounds that were never intended to be inside your body. Now, before I tell you what to do about this, I need to be honest about something. Your doctor likely won't discuss any of this. Not because they're incompetent, because the system they work within isn't designed to address it. Here's why. The standard medical model is diagnosis driven. You go to your doctor with a symptom. I have brain fog, I have digestive issues, I have allergies. Your doctor runs standard tests. Those tests are designed to find pathology. Infection, inflammation markers, autoimmune flags. Those tests are not designed to answer the question, what are the 168 chemicals actively disrupting this person's microbiome? That question requires a different kind of testing entirely. It requires looking at bacterial composition and diversity, understanding which bacteria are present and which are missing, measuring metabolite production, and understanding the ecosystem. I started as a physical therapist. I went back to Yale Medical School because I thought I could learn how to actually find root causes. And what I discovered was this. The medical system is built on insurance company reimbursement models. Those models pay for treatment of diagnosed diseases. They don't pay for forensic audits of your exposure to 168 everyday chemicals. They don't pay for deep microbiome analysis. They don't pay for understanding why your system is getting worse, even though you're doing everything right. So that responsibility falls to you. This is one of the core insights in my book. I call it the belief shift. You have to move from my doctor will find this for me to I have to advocate for the data that matters. So, what do you actually do about this? There are 3 tiers of response. Start noticing your exposure points. Replace plastic water bottles with glass or stainless steel. Switch your personal care products to paraben-free and triclosan-free brands. Use cast iron or ceramic cookware instead of non-stick. Buy organic produce when it's high pesticide crops like strawberries, spinach, or apples. Stop using antibacterial hand soap. Open your windows. Take shoes off inside your home to reduce carpet exposure. These are friction-free changes. They reduce your chemical load without disrupting your life. But you can't measure what you don't, or you can't manage what you don't measure. You could spend 6 months making all these changes and feel only incrementally better. Or you could order a Root Reveal gut panel and actually know what's happening inside your microbiome. This test gives you specific data. Which beneficial bacteria you're deficient in, which pathogenic bacteria you're carrying, which fungal overgrowths are present, what your microbiome metabolite production looks like. Not guessing, not hoping, data. Once you have that data, everything changes. You stop guessing about whether you need probiotics. You stop wondering if that supplement is actually helping. You have a forensic map of your actual microbiome. This is what I mean when I say test, don't guess. It's about investing in the right data. Once you know what's in your microbiome and what's missing, you can make strategic interventions, not generic probiotics, not wellness supplements, specific targeted interventions based on what's really going on in your gut. This is where you actually restore your bacterial ecosystem to what it should be, where you go from managing my symptoms to actually getting well. For many people, tier 2 is where transformation happens. You get the test, understand what's wrong, make some targeted changes, and suddenly the diet and exercise and sleep you were already doing starts working for you instead of against you. I had a client, Monica, who at 48 years old was doing everything right. Organic diet, clean lifestyle, managing stress. She had chronic allergies that wouldn't respond to anything. We ran a Root Reveal gut panel. Turned out she had bacterial dysbiosis caused by, you guessed it, environmental chemical exposure that nobody had measured. She also had elevated mycotoxins from water damage she didn't even know about. Within the first week of addressing her microbiome and removing the chemical exposures, her brain fog disappeared. Within 2 weeks, her allergies were 90% better. She wasn't broken, she just didn't have the right information. The Cambridge study is just the latest confirmation of something I've been telling people for years. You can't optimize your way out of a toxicity problem. You can exercise perfectly, eat perfectly, sleep perfectly, and still lose if your microbiome is being quietly assassinated by chemicals you don't know about. The research is clear. The chemicals are real. The exposure is unavoidable if you live in the modern world today. But the solution is available to you. It just requires you to take ownership of your data instead of waiting for a system that will never ask the right questions. If you're doing everything right and still getting worse, the Root Reveal gut panel gives you the data. And in our experience, having the right data is usually all you need to start making informed decisions about what to do next. This research is going to ripple through the health space because it's real and it's quantified. Use it. Don't just watch it. Use the data to advocate for yourself. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next week.